Hello, everybody. This is R.K. Mullins, author of Time for a Serial Killer, A Lifetime of Murder. Hey, remember now, Confessions Before Death, Satan's Revenge, coming out February the 14th, Valentine's Day, my mother's birthday. Help me honor my mother's memory and enjoy my book. Thank you. Today on Author to Author, we have a Miss Samantha Barret, and she has written a nice little fictional book. And I'm going to let her tell you all the name of it because she did tell me. But guess what? I forgot. I ain't exactly all that, boys. You know that. Hey, y'all seen my show. Now, I tell you what, Miss Samantha, she's a real cutie. She's sitting there. Y'all can see her. Now, y'all give her a good, warm welcome. And Samantha, tell us about yourself and tell us about your book, honey.
Hello. I wrote a book. It's a 3-part trilogy. The first book is called A Beautiful Dream. It starts off in New Zealand but is based in Alaska. This is my first book to ever be published. I wrote this book about 3 years ago and finally found the gumption to publish this year.
Nice. And now, what started you wanting to write this book in the first place?
I'm a real avid reader. I love to read books, and I got tired of reading books that was constantly girl meets guy, fall in love, happily ever after. I wanted cliffhangers. I wanted something dark with a twist. I wanted a series that would keep me guessing, even when I thought that I knew the answer was never the right answer. I wanted that, and I couldn't find it, so I wrote it.
A lot of what I found is, over time, is a lot of the older books, a lot of what we call classics, they fell under that category. You didn't know what was going on from one minute to the next. You always had twists and turns. And you and I both kind of think the same way there. I mean, we talked about my book, Time for a Serial Killer, A Lifetime of Murder. I know people unplugging a little early. Get over it. But the thing is, this show's all about her, not me. But I will plug my book. And the reason I plugged this early is because, like her, I wanted a book that did not have a predictable ending. I wanted a book with twists and turns in it. I was tired of reading long, drawn-out books that would put me to sleep after 2 pages. If I wanted that, hell, I'll just take a shot of bourbon.
My drink.
You like bourbon? Hey, girl, that's my part.
Yes.
But tell us a little bit more about the entire trilogy that you're planning here.
Okay, the entire trilogy, without giving any spoilers away, is, oh gosh, how to dumb it down a bit into little words. I've got the picture, but if I say it, I've got to give spoilers. It's a story from start that you're based in New Zealand. I had to put my home country in there. And you go to Alaska, my favorite place in the whole entire world. Based there are twists and turns, secrets revealed in Alaska. The first book leaves you wondering. I've already got reviews on Whatnot saying that the cliffhanger is terrible. To me, I'll take that as a compliment. The second book in the series is coming out the end of March. Also has a massive cliffhanger. Cliffhangers are a must. It's all about female empowerment, this book. You don't need a man to save you. It's different. You think it's one thing, but it's never that thing that you think. I don't even know how the book's going to end. I have all of my plot notes dotted out. I haven't stuck to one single plot note aside from the characters' names. They're out the window. They're gone.
Well, see, that's the thing is I never do any plot notes. I don't do any character notes. I don't do anything. I start writing, and I know how it's going to begin. I know what the middle is going to look like. I know what the ending is going to be. And a lot of times along that path, I'll change a whole lot of things. So I'll have to go back and reread some of the stuff that I've already written just to pick up a character's name and make sure that I got the name the same all the way through the book.
I done that writing A Beautiful Dream. I went back this kid I was on that flow. I just kept writing, and I'm the type of writer, I can't chapter jump. I have to finish that chapter, then move on to the next one. I wrote 7 chapters, just continuous. When I went back just to reread, I thought, who the heck is this? Where did you come from?
Exactly. I'm like, who the hell is Matthew? I thought I named him something else, and go back and look at it, I don't know. Every author has a different way of doing things. Some are a little bit more systematic and organized, a lot more organized than I am, I can guarantee you that. But I write, a lot of people will write phonetically. In other words,
Yes.
the way it sounds is the way they spell it, right?
Yes.
Well, I write what hits here, period. When I start writing, the first word that comes to my mind, that's what I start off with.
Yes.
It just escalates from there. I've not experienced writer's block yet. I ain't gonna say I ain't going to, but I am lazy. Sometimes I might be months between, writing one chapter to the next because I'm lazy.
Yes.
Now, enough about me, y'all. But Miss Samantha here. Tell us now, who was your favorite author when you before you started writing?
Oh, favorite author of all time. Don't get me wrong, I'm a Twilight fan. I love Twilight, but my favorite author of all time is Catherine Hart. I fell in love with Catherine Hart when I was 13. She writes old American Indian books, and I was never a reader as a kid. English wasn't my first language, so I had to relearn English, and I struggled. And this book, I stole it from my mom one night because I wanted to read like my friends.
Right.
That book taught me how to read.
Nice.
It's a beautiful book. Ever since I read that book, I have been hooked on reading. It took me 6 years to track down my own copy of that book, and I spent a small fortune on it. It's
Nice.
not on Amazon, Kindle. You can't just go into a bookstore and buy it. I hunted for 6 years to have my own copy of that book.
Well, that's an unbelievable story. How you not learn to read, but how you got into reading by picking up a book that your mother had. See, I didn't learn. I couldn't read past the 4th grade level when I left high school, and I didn't learn to read until I was 25.
Oh, really?
Yes, ma'am. And when I was in college, or when I was in a community college back home in Virginia, my English teacher, quote, my literary teacher as well, figured out that I couldn't read, and spent 3 months teaching me how to read. And the first book that I ever read, and in high school and stuff, I slept through most of my high school classes. I was one of those kids. I wasn't a good student by any daggone means. But I do not advocate that. People go to school, learn something. Don't be a dummy.
Yes.
Anyway, the first book I ever read was called The Destroyer, by an author by the name of Richard Sapir. And he did a lot of collaborations. There's well over 150 books in that series. Yeah, tell me about it. I ain't writing no series that daggone big. But he had a lot of collaboration, and a lot of different authors to collaborate with. And it was my favorite. It was my favorite series I ever read. And they made a movie based on it, a loosely based one called Remo Williams' The Adventure Begins. Worst damn movie you ever want to watch. People, I will guarantee, I love the book, I love the series. Don't watch the movie. It is terrible.
Oh, I hate that. Quite a few of my favorite authors that I've grown to love over the years, especially I read this author series. Her book got turned into a movie on Passionflix. I downloaded Passionflix, watched the movie, and oh my God, it ruined the book for me.
Well,
Absolutely ruined it.
If the movie is done good and done right, then I enjoy the movie sometimes more than I do the book. And like I said, I love Stephen King people. I'm not trying to down the man whatsoever, but I prefer to watch his movies over reading his books. That's just the way I am. He's got a great plot and all that, but like I
Yes.
said, enjoy the movies over the book. And some authors, I enjoy the books over the movies because there's too much stuff that gets left out in the movies.
Yes.
But if a movie's done correctly,
I found that with the Divergent series.
Oh, Divergent, yeah, exactly. I haven't read the series, but I heard a lot of people talk about it and how they'd rather read the book than watch the movie ever because there's so much left out. Yeah, and everybody has a different way and a different writing style. What is your particular writing style?
I wish I could say that I had a style. I have a thought, or my book, A Beautiful Dream, literally started. I was outside thinking, I'm not going to be a vet. I wanted to be a vet growing up. Sat outside, thought, what am I going to do? I'm going to be a vet. And I thought, what if I wrote this book? And a thought struck me, and I just go by the thoughts that I have daily.
Right.
My characters talk to me. I don't have a plan with them. I don't know where they're going to end up. They tell me to go left and I'm going right. It is what it is. It's a mystery to me.
Sounds like my book. I mean, I write in what I call conversational dialogue. All my books are all dialogue and action driven, 100%. There's very little monologue in there, and I keep it that way for a good reason because I write it the way people actually talk most of the time, and that includes bad grammar. People, get over it. If you're looking for an expert on grammar, it ain't me. People do not.
I have to say, I'm the same. The way that people talk these days, you can't convert it correctly with proper grammar into a book. And when I got it back from the editor, my editor's amazing, but I had to let her know, hey, this is the way that it is. It's not grammatical. It's just how it is. She was amazing, went with the flow and said, hey, I get ya.
Oh yeah. I mean, my editor on Confessions Before Death messaged me one day, or when she got it, she said, "Now you're doing a lot of talking, or you got a lot of people talking in here." I said, "Yeah, I know." I said, "Leave the quotation marks out." She said, "But that's the proper grammar." I said, "Leave the quotes out."
Oh, that's different.
She said, "Why?" I said, "Because if you put the quotes in there," I said, "the entire book is nothing but quotes."
Oh.
I said, "Leave them out because I didn't put any quotes in Time for a Serial Killer. This is my particular style of writing. Leave it that way." Because who wants to go through there and you see a bunch of dad burn quotes over everything? Here and there is all fine and dandy. But when you got a book like mine, where it's all conversation, a conversation between two people.
Yes.
And I mean, you'll have a chapter where, like 3,000 or 4,000 words that is nothing but these two people talking back and forth, like they're sitting in a coffee shop or something, right? And
yeah.
Do you imagine having quotation marks when you're watching people talk? No, you don't.
It'll drive me nuts.
And like I said, mine would have so many quotes through there, it would really look terrible on page. And I said, nah, we're not going to do that. You read my book, Time for a Serial Killer. I know you haven't, but she did. And I said, you saw I had very few quotes in there. I said, leave it that way. She said, okay. I said, and then she messaged me a couple of days later about it. And I said, isn't it a lot easier to edit now? She said, yes, it is.
Oh, I love it. I don't like books that spend a whole chapter describing a tree. And I gotta be honest, I have read books like that before. I like action. I want to know. I get that your character needs to think, but I like words. I like action. Yes, mine is a fictional love story, but it is more than that. It is action. It's
Right.
conversations. It's not all thoughts. It's conversations with between so many different characters that my editor had so many creative ways of putting, hey, Dom said, Jack said. We had to find different ways to describe each of these several different characters talking.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm always searching for something like, instead of like John said, Jack said. I'll be like John said, Jack replied, John shouted, John yelled, whatever. I mean, I'm always trying to find new ways or something.
Yes.
Keep from having the same word in there so cotton picking many times. And
Yes.
but I got sick and tired of books that are 500 or 600 pages long. And like you said, describe a tree for 2 chapters, people. I'm sorry, that's boring as all get out. Even the book that A Tree Grows in Brooklyn. Damn, wasn't that boring?
Oh,
I would rather,
kudos to authors that can do it. Personally, I'd be bored writing about a flippin' tree. Like there is a key factor in a beautiful dream that they have to do, but I cut it down to maybe 100 words, and I was still annoyed at myself for 100 words of describing something. I'm literally, it's a shack. They walked into a shack. That's all you're going to get out of me about a shack.
I mean, it would. For me, it depends on if I need a little bit of filler to try to lengthen it a little bit. That's one time I might make a description of a shack or whatever, or if it's pertinent to the story, and I'm needing
Yes.
to describe it to as to where they're at, what they're doing, and like in Time for a Serial Killer, I describe the house, both
Yes.
the outside and the inside, because it's extremely pertinent that the audience knows that what that house looks like and gets that in their imagination. I leave enough
I've
of it.
done that.
Yeah, I
I've
leave
done that. I've described the cabin, the woods, the compound, all of those things. But things as they're strolling past, it's a shack. I won't describe 100 trees, a shed, something. I'll describe what is absolutely important, like the room. It plays a key part in the story. And
hmm
as the story progresses, you'll see why I've described certain things in there. They all interlink with each other. But
Exactly.
as for over describing, I'm not that author. I'm very blunt to the point that in a car, the car goes A to B. We're not going to sightsee along the way and spend a chapter talking about it.
Well, see, I used to be a truck driver, so I will put in a few things about if someone's traveling in a car or something of that nature. I will put some stuff in there that I know for a fact exists.
Yes.
So they can, so people sees that hey, this is connected to the real world in some form or fashion. It might be fiction, but it's about today. It's today's times. It ain't like
Yes.
like last 40 years ago or something. Yeah. I don't leave a lot of those details. I don't leave a lot to the imagination because I want to spell out exactly where they're at that particular
Yes.
time for whatever need I need, whatever the book needs at the moment. But I have found that I would much rather read a book that's maybe 200 pages long and always be wondering what's going to happen next
Yes.
than read a
Yes.
500 or 600 page book and be bored out of my cotton picking mind. But so when have you finished the second portion to your trilogy?
Yes, I have. That's
Uh,
off to the editor shortly.
and the name of that one's going to be
A Twisted Fate.
A Twist of Fate. Nice. I
A
love it.
Twisted.
A Twisted Fate. Okay, that's still like it. Still a good title. I like your titles. Those are very nice, very catchy. Um, did when you were writing the first one, and again, me and my brain, I can't remember that. I know it was Dreams of something or another. I just can't remember it all. Did you already have a title picked out for the second one?
I didn't even have a title for the first one. it was complete. It was never the name that it is now. A Beautiful Dream was never in my head. It's the title interlinks with the book, but I never had the title. It wasn't until one day I was getting ready to send it to the editor, and I thought, oh my God, this book needs to have a title. What am I going to do? I rang my mum, anxious, and she said to me, look, you're living out your dream. Why don't you name it something dream? And I was like, hey, it is a beautiful dream. A beautiful dream struck. We had another conversation, and my mum's like, what a twist of fate your life's become. Well, a twisted fate. And the third book has already been named as well.
Nice. We'll hold on to that one because you haven't got it out there yet. In Time for a Serial Killer, in the first chapter, I guess, or maybe second chapter, somewhere around that area, I didn't even break it up into chapters. I just wrote it straight up through.
Yes.
But when I describe the house, my main character is going in the house and stuff like that. There's 3 books that he picks up, and all of them have similar names and empty pages. That was me trying to figure out what the heck I was going to name this damn book. Pardon my language, people. But I didn't. I mean, I knew what the name had to consist of because I wanted the name of the book to kind of describe the actions going on inside the book.
Yes.
And it wasn't until I had titled those 3 books in the first one that I figured out, okay, well, this is the name of the book. And it's
I like
in those pages. I mean, in Confessions Before Death, I knew that one straight up. I'm currently working on A Sniper's Kiss. Haig Takes a Bullet. That's the 3rd one in the series. The 4th one will be Letters to the Broken Heart. I have not got the subtitle for that one yet.
I like that. I had the 3rd book's name chosen before book 1 and book 2.
And sometimes that happens. I mean, I've talked to authors that's done like that. And, I've been asked several times, how in the heck are you going to do a 10-book series? Very slowly.
I like that. I like that answer.
It's the only one I got. I mean, because I'm lazy by nature. I'm hoping I'm releasing Confessions Before Death on February the 14th. My mother's birthday, people, help me celebrate it, okay? And Valentine's Day. If you know somebody, if you got a love of your life that loves a good thriller, that loves good, a murder book, and loves the dark side of things, right? Hey, perfect gift for them. I got you. You'll love it. There's a lot of descriptive murders in there. And you know me, if you read Time for a Serial Killer, I'm very descriptive on my killings. And some authors don't like that. I mean, and some audiences don't like that. Your book is, you said it's a little on the dark side.
Yes.
I have got to get a copy of that. I've got to read it and just see where the dark side is on there, because I love a good dark book. And
this leads you into worse. It's not completely dark. There's a lot of abuse to start with, and then it progresses, and then once you hit a twisted fate, you're like, wow, where did that come from? I love it.
I mean, I love the horror thriller genre and writing crime drama. I've always loved that. I mean, the dark or the darker, to me, the better, and I lean that direction. So I couldn't write a young adult book and curve back my depiction of some things I do in my writing, because it just ain't in my mind.
I found that hard. Writing A Beautiful Dream, I found it so hard. For me, it was a bit of the language barrier. I'm originally from New Zealand, but I live in Australia, and I've set my book in America, which has been edited by an American editor, to Americanize words, everything like that. I've done a ton of research. Out of all of the places in the world, I'm going to Alaska before I die. It's my place. I'm going to Alaska. It's based in Wanda Lake. I had to do a ton of research. I've never been. I want to, but my knew in my head my book was there. I had to research wildlife, everything. Is this book going to place there? I didn't want to name it after an actual place and then be like, hang on, that's a lake. There is no place for this here. There's no place for that. It took me a long book, completely wrote it, went back and I was like, hang on, I wonder if this is here. Looked it up. I'm like, holy crap, they don't actually have that. I'm going to have to remove it, do this. And when I sent it to my editor, she's like, hang on, that's not actually called that. It's called this. This place is in Canada. I was like, wow, it was hard, but I'm 1,000 times happier.
Right. Well, unfortunately, I'm going to have to end this because otherwise it's going to be too burn long and people might get too bored. Hopefully they don't. If you get bored with this young lady, y'all crazy. She's very, she's definitely not boring. I can tell you that. All right. But anyway, Samantha, Miss Barret, it has been a pleasure having you on the show. I hope this video help you promote your book in the manner it needs to be promoted. Pardon me, coffee people. And I definitely want to have you back on when you publish the next one. Definitely, you're going to be back.
Please, I'd love to.
It will be my pleasure. Trust me. All right, people. This is R.K. Mullins, author of Time for a Serial Killer, A Lifetime of Murder. And remember, Confessions Before Death, Satan's Revenge, coming up February the 14th on my mother's birthday, Valentine's Day. Let's celebrate it. Give somebody you love a scare. This is going to get you, I guarantee it. Hey, been author to author with special guest, Samantha Barret. Y'all be good now, all right?